Assalamualaikum and greetings. My name is ZAKRI TARMIDI from Faculty of Built Environment and Surveying, UTM, and I will share with you today on my topic, which is active learning implementation during MCO via synchronous and asynchronous technique. This is the content of my presentation, starting with introduction, research problems, research aim, the design used in this study, the novelty of this study, the platform used in the study, the results, limitation, and lastly, the conclusion. Okay, as we know, during pandemic COVID-19 in early 2020 until 2022, our learning process has changed into fully online learning. And online learning has proven to help in provide the alternative for teaching and learning process. However, what happened is during that time, most of the online class was using traditional technique, performed, just convert into online platform. So this has given a limitation to educators that previously using active learning process or student-based learning in their teaching and learning process, because online learning has several issues, including the capability of the gadgets or unstable internet connection and unsupported environments. Okay, to reduce this issue, this study aimed to apply both synchronous and asynchronous technique for online active learning, especially for higher education, teaching and learning process. Okay, this is the design used in this study. They have 4 phases, starting with the preparation phases, description phase, activities phase, and lastly the reflection phase. The different approach were used in terms of all 4 phases, where the approach for synchronous technique require extra effort to preparing the material, including the video recording and uploading to the YouTube platform and so on. So beside that, the communication platform or description and activities phase also different, which where in a synchronous technique it use direct communication such as a video conferencing, but for asynchronous it use delay communication such as a forum or in e-learning use, and also the messaging applications such as WhatsApp. Okay, the novelty of this study is on the designing or the integration phase, especially to integrate different approach of communication and teaching and learning process. This approach can cover the disadvantages of each technique. For example, the internet unstable issue can be covered using asynchronous techniques, and for better communication, better use a synchronous technique. To apply both techniques, this is the platform that we use in this study. The first one is the online e-learning platform provided by UTM, University of Technology Malaysia. Besides that, we also use WhatsApp for communication medium, and the right part is the example of description of activity provided to students via this platform for active learning process throughout the online learning. So besides that, this study also use Google Meet or WebEx for online video conferencing, and also YouTube as a platform to upload the recording video for asynchronous technique that will be discussed by the student later on. Okay, besides that, this study also use Google Jamboard. So Google Jamboard is very important to ensure that students can interact between each other and create a mind map for discussion in active learning process. Besides that, students will also make their own video conferencing, and the educator will join some of the video conferencing for further discussion. So besides that, students will also require to make a summary video for the discussion for some of the topic discussed in class, but not all the topic, but some of the topic discussed in the class. Okay, to assess the effectiveness of this integration process, the study using questionnaire as a medium or platform, which have 2 parts, part A and part B. The first part, part A, is on the student background, including the equipment of gadget used for online learning, internet stability and internet capability. So the results show that most of the students use 2 gadgets, both laptop and also mobile for sometimes for online learning, and mostly using Wi-Fi or home internet. And most of students say the internet connection was not stable, and because only 47% said that the internet for online learning is stable. Okay, for the part B, the analysis is on the student perspective, and the overall results show that students able to accept this integration technique, synchronous and asynchronous technique, with overall mean score of 4.17. Besides that, for other question, the result show that the mean score is more than 4.40. The lowest one is 4.43, and the highest one is 4.72, which said that is quite considered high level of acceptance that has been answered by the student. So as a limitation, they have three main limitations in terms of time, and then also the gadget that we use, and also the internet connection throughout this study. As a conclusion, this study applying integration of synchronous and asynchronous technique for online active learning process, and from the result it showed that this technique can help student understanding more on the topic discussed in class. So besides that, to make sure that this technique can be done or properly implemented, it require good communication platform and also the technique to communicate between educator and learners, and also need a good motivation strategy to implement and to ensure that student able to cope with this process of integration. I think that's all for my presentation. Thank you very much and see you around. Assalamualaikum.